Professor Bishal Sitaula, Department of International Environment and Development Study, Norwegian University of Life Science. Norway has more than 26 years of international experience in research, teaching and collaboration on the topics such as ecology, global change issue, higher education, conflict, peace and development, including wisdom and personal transformation. He is a founder, member and ex-president Non-Resident Nepali Association NRNA, NCC Norway, and former vice chair of the International Association of Human Value Norway. Part of his social engagement is to globalize the social science, wisdom and personal transformation. Please give him a big hand.
Since I have been working in academia for many years, and I originally come from Nepal, the land of Mount Everest, and we live in the Himalayan region with a multitude of dilemma, crisis, also so diverse region in the world. I thought of sharing some of my personal experience around and about resilience thinking and personal transformation using our wisdom tradition, which is rather common. We know that we live in this kind of world. I promise you that whatever has been said, Chairman, I will just skipping the slide, so don't worry. Be in peace, just listen. I will do the talking. And this is the planet we live. And if you see the planet with where are the people, because I am setting some ground for this global crisis. Most of the people are in our part of the world. India, Africa, Nepal. But most of the mouth are here. Where is the affluence? Where is the money? In this part of the world. North America, Europe, Japan, Korea. So the dilemma, the crisis is that only 20% of the population are living here, consuming 80% of the world resources. This is the dark side of the story. But wisdom tradition, our wisdom tradition says that let everybody see the bright side of everything. Then let's focus on a little bit of bright side. Well, we need to learn from each other in this world. If you want to learn a little more of teamwork, learn from Japanese or Chinese. If you want to do marketing and economics, learn from American. If you want to have an idea about the precision work, learn from German. If you want to learn more about Norwegian, I mean honesty, learn from Norwegian. But if you really want to know who you are, who am I, where do I come from, what is the meaning and purpose of life, I think this question, this higher question, you have to go to our part of the world. This part of the world is flourished because in Indo-Gangetic plain, long ago, before 10,000 years, because of the alluvium soil, fertile soil, there was a grain production, agriculture was very much feasible, and therefore there was not much problem about the bhojan part, the stomach part. Then they could think, they can contemplate on the higher issue. And therefore, it's flourished there over a period of time by the rishis of Upanishads and so on and so forth. A very rich wisdom tradition is available in this part of the world. So, we can also learn something from around it. Well, this further translated to very many cultural heritage sites. This is from my native country, Nepal, Kathmandu, a city of temple. As you can see that it is reflected how the wisdom tradition is really given emphasis in our evolutionary history. Well, you can see here in Nepal also there is another beauty. Both Buddhist and Hindu temple are in the same premises. So we have that kind of integration already available. But from the satellite, if you see this, our region, it is rather diverse. As you can see, a lot of disaster, disorienting dilemmas of life happens here. This is very seismologically very active zone. Last, you know that in what happened in Gujarat, very recently in Nepal, you know, the village which was like that, in a matter of second, it turned into this one in that devastating earthquake. Also, we have a diverse, in a small country like Nepal, you see the ethnic and caste groups, how we live together really in harmony. Okay? So, other issue around there is the climate crisis, because I want to address this because it's my favorite subject. This is also happening very often in our part of the world. These are glimpses of flood in Nepal, which is happening every day. Media and our small children has to cross the river that way. So, and also these are, so all in all, the Lord Buddha was born in Nepal, in the Lumbini, in Kapilvastu of Nepal, said that life contains suffering, but we can bounce back. That is the science of resilience. How we can bounce back from suffering, disorienting dilemma, using our wisdom tradition of Nepal and India. So the definition of resilience is the process of adapting well in the face of adversity, trauma, tragedy, threat, and other sources of stress. It can be divorce here. So, if you look at the literature and see how our wisdom tradition can contributing to all the science which is there, I have to, for a very easy reading, I have make the sutra like SAVES. First one is the social connection. For social connection is very, very important, and that we have learned. There was a very long longitudinal studies for 75 years done by the Harvard group. And then after monitoring more than 1,300 people for many, many years, from 1938 until now, and there, what is really most important in life, when they have monitored and got the reflection from these people and also correlated with their medical data and so on, the most important there is the social connection. But this we have learned from all this kind of reality that we live in our part of the world. We know that in Nepal it's called Jiudako Janti Mardako Malami. That means that social connection is intricately built. We cannot be individualistic. So that is the wisdom tradition that we have, and that is also very important for our resilience thinking. The resilient role model we have to surround with. In fact, my father, who was born and brought up in the hill of Nepal, the first slide I showed you, the mountain not much far from there. I was raised there until I was 7, and he brought us down to the lowland. And in the down, we have to interact with a diverse, different kind of ethnic group, and by making our associations, I have seen that my father has 6 or 7 very spiritual friends. So we know the value of that kind of social connection, which is very important. We also know the value of our family connection, which is our very important predictor of our resilience thinking. If the quality of our social relationship and also our family relation is not good, forget about talking so many different kind of things, learning different kind of theory. But this is our also kind of wealth. See in Nepal, the mother is sick and this person is really carrying her to the hospital in that way. If you know Nepali there, then you will really get touched by it. I don't have time for that. So the interdependent, we do not have an independent existence. We interdependently co-arise. So this is again back to Lord Buddha. So this is our wisdom tradition. The second is the attitude. We can be resilient and we can really have a fulfillment, not achievement. I'm talking about fulfillment in our life integration process with the right attitude. When there are disorienting dilemma, when there are disasters, then the cognitive behavioral therapy says that we need to have this kind of attitude, like nothing is permanent, this come arising and passing away, this too will passing away. What that will do not kill you, make you very strong. All those kind of thinking is built on. We know impermanence. We also know that this is not only our problem, it's a shared suffering. And also, nothing can be a pervasive phenomenon. And optimism is the key around that, all the attitude. But this optimism, see what Shiva Sutra says, which has been narrated by very many spiritual masters. For example, see this world as if you are seeing for the first time with a fresh and optimistic eyes. It also says that a certain darkness is needed to see the stars. Okay? So we accept that this kind of dilemma, this kind of disaster can happen. There are many stories. I don't have time to go how these people have come out of their comfort zone, like the story of Aruni, which was a disciple of Rishi Dhamya, and how he came out of this comfort zone and created a history. There is a whole Upanishad around Aruni Uddolak. Another one is the story of Dhruva, which gives us again another insight. So the most important thing is we have learned how to come out of our comfort zone, not being very individualistic. If you come out of this comfort zone, then you enter into the courage zone. Of course, you don't need to be very, very generous and Mahan like entering to the Bali Raja and all like entering to the terror zone. But then, if you repeatedly come out of your comfort zone, be more social, more interactive, then your courage and become your comfort zone. This could be me. When I was taking school in the lowland, when my father brought me down to the lowland, we have learned how to come out of our comfort zone and really adapt to the reality as it is. So resilience thinking is inbuilt in our genealogy. The third thing is the value. So many things has been already talked here in this forum, so I will not. But very important thing is we must have a faith also in order to have that kind of resilience, the psychological resilience, okay? Faith is very, very important that something is holding us, something is there for us. Even this is very much well described in, for example, Christianity, fear not, I am with you. This statement appears in Holy Bible 365 times every day because we can face every day some kind of dilemmas or so on. In Holy Quran also, it says that Allah doesn't burden a soul beyond it can bear. It is to give you some good lesson and to make you more resilient and more mature. So finding hook is also another kind of things, the meditation, the union with the unit self, with the cosmic self, it is the right way. And then there are so many things around it. Yoga, it has been said very many things around in this. So yoga is a practice of tolerating the consequences of being your true self. So that is the true yoga. And the yoga given by Patanjali here, this part in India, and Sadanga Yoga. Ashtanga Yoga was given by Patanjali, and Sadanga Yoga by Guru Gorakhnath, which is very popular in Nepal. And there's very many research about the meditation and its health benefits. Even the cortical thickness will go up. So I will not talk about this because this has been objectively verified by very many different kind of studies. Okay, so this I will skip here. But the last, just two more, few words. The emotion. Science of emotion is very important to understand because in order to be happy, in order to be resilient, we need to have a more of positive emotions. And if in our life we are languishing or flourishing is determined by some critical threshold, something called positivity ratio, particularly when we are in some kind of disorienting dilemma, you need to have really at least 3:1 or more. That means if there are, in order to circumvent the effect of one negative emotion, you need to have 3 positive emotions, very important. So for this emotion, our culture is very rich because our understanding is that whole world is a dance of Shiva and Shakti, the energy and consciousness, which is here. We have also a very rich science about devotion, about aesthetic value, as you see that, and also supra-aesthetic value, which are around. And this has been there reinforced by very many spiritual masters at present time in Nepal and India. Okay? And the very many festivals, this has been already talked. There are scientific studies and so many, many different ways of cultivating positive emotion which are there. Finally, humor. Okay, one more. Humor. Are you humorous now? Could you smile? Thank you. Humor is very, very important for resilient thinking. You see, His Holiness Dalai Lama. Chairman, could you see that photo? Yes. He is taking the beard of Ramji and making a fun. Just very recently, he was wearing a burqa in order to have some kind of fun. You see, cheerfulness. I think, Swamiji, we need to have more cheerfulness in order to have multiple benefits around our life. This photo I have taken recently. This population is suffering very much with the drought in the western part of Nepal. But see the smile in their face. This is another photo in Nepal. I have been told that there are a number of studies again the smile. Those cheerful nuns survive 10 years longer than those complaining and non-cheerful nuns. Also, if you be cheerful, you will live longer, this has been said. So those who last is last. We also do a lot of these kind of things in the practice. This is my last slide, respected chairman. So our wisdom tradition talks about all this spiritual practice, not very serious thing. Hasiva, keliva, dhariva, dhyana. Let's enjoy, let's play. And that way, we have a resilient thinking. Finally, again, so much.
The topic of this session is very simple, but very difficult, Topic is bridging the gap among Hindus coming from a different country. See, we Hindus are coming from Bharat, from Sri Lanka, Bhutan, Nepal, and many countries. Whenever, as I mentioned in the morning, we come here, we form our association, we start our temple, function, activity. But generally, we do not interact much. So we have created our own, you can say, not in a negative sense, our own community. In the modern Western language, say we have created ghetto. This is just, I am giving example. This is a Hindu conference organized by Vishnu Hindu Parishad, and which is active in almost 30-40 countries. And I am quite active in Sri Lanka. But see, just I am giving example. We do not have a larger participation from the Sri Lankan community and many other communities. So it appears that we are active here, but we are active here in our own pocket. So the question is, I will request all the panelists how to bridge this gap. So I will start with the Bishal Sitaula ji. Please give me your idea and thought how to bridge this gap, because here in this country we are all Hindu Norwegian. That is our identity. But this gap is there. So how to bridge this gap?
Thank you, His Holiness Swamiji. It is again an honor and pleasure to be here. These are my personal reflection around how to really bridge among different community which are, of course, closely connected. If you look at the literature around how we can really connect to different communities, very fundamental thing is that we must work on the trust building. Trust is number one criteria. The other thing what we need to work is on the low cost of interaction. Meaning that if connecting to a Tamil temple, connecting to a other temple, if there are so many formalities, so many these kind of protocol are involved, then the cost of interaction becomes, then we don't want to go for those kind of costly interaction. The other thing is that we need to focus on common essence. And as you know that either it's a Tamil or any kind of Hindus or from Nepal or anywhere, our source, that is the perennial philosophy that comes from Veda and so on. And the most importantly, how this perennial philosophy caters the need of our everyday life. Because there got to be objective adjustment with our everyday life with a subjective approach. The higher question, the meaning and purpose of life. If we are able to bring these things together in a meaningful way, that also brings a natural cause for bridging the gap. The other thing is that there are very many theories, His Holiness, about how social transmission of value takes place, cultural transmissions of value takes place. After all, some of the human values are common. We all are focusing on, as we have already said, love, peace, righteousness, non-violence, all those kind of things. But then we have to focus on these things and a little more on practical and workable way. The other thing is that we need to really focus on catering the need of youth. Many youth when they see a person like Swamiji with a saffron collar as a very stranger. But they have to know that this is our wisdom tradition, and they have to feel a kind of comfortable. So some more thing has to be done around there. definitely we need to avoid those elements in social network who actively promote anger, intimidations, all those kind of things. We need to avoid those kind of things. And I have some more, I will come back to that. Thank you.
Joshi ji, Sitaula ji pointed out very importantly, trust between the two communities. Low cost of interaction with no formality, no bureaucracy in terms of interaction. And youth, tell me how we should go about this.
Thank you very much, Swamiji, for inviting me here, first of all. The little bit which I know and my experience
Volunteers should be ready with the mic.
That the communication is the most important essence of conversating and understanding the people. The second, which has already been said, the trust. The third is you should be able to hear, just not the hear. When you hear, you understand what the person is trying to communicate with us. If you understand these three and respect the gentleman or the person from his or her point of view, then it's easy to talk, easy to bring person and consider what he's talking and where we are. Can we have some common platform? It is also said that when two people are having a conflict, it is, Swamiji said actually in a research manner, that the conflict itself has its solution. It's not that the person who's fighting sitting with the solution, it is the conflict, the idea, the point, the subject they're talking about, that has a solution. That means if we want to have make them to understand what we Hindus are, then we have to make them understand who we are. If they will do it, then our misunderstanding will give us an answer.
I've observed for a long time is the average Hindu today has very little idea of what being a Hindu is all about. And that goes back to the fact that we have by and large lost touch with our Shastras. And Hindus from all over the world, even though we call ourselves Hindus, we follow a lot of traditions and rituals which have been handed over from our parents and grandparents and so on. All these rituals and traditions come from the Vedas and the Shastras, and traditionally this Shastric Vedic knowledge has been given to us by a Guru Parampara, but ever since we stopped going to a Veda Pathshala and learned Shastras from the Vedas, from the teachers, ever since we started attending the Western style education and the universities and colleges, we have unfortunately gradually lost touch with Vedas, and we need to revive this interest in Vedas and Shastras. That is where we should start. Thank you.
I think very well said.
First is education.
Education, second is culture. I think very well said that, first of all, I hear a lot of words with respect to anger, respect, things like that. I think we need to understand, first of all, we all are Hindus. That's the basic thing. If we need to start together, we need to teach the next generation, not like my generation, but the kids which are coming up, what Hinduism is. So I think in all the community, which is people coming from India, people coming from Sri Lanka, people coming from Nepal, I'm sure you must be having some people who can actually devote some time and teach kids what Hinduism is. So this could be one forum where people come together. And second is, we all celebrate Diwali, maybe on different dates, but we all celebrate Diwali. Why can't we have one Hindu Diwali in Norway?
Vishalji, you mentioned the trust, because we are different community, but we do not interact frequently, so we have not developed the trust, So the trust is very, very intangible, but tangible also. So tell me how this trust can be translated in a tangible way so that our community can develop the bonding interaction. What is the practical method we should adopt?
I think the practical method is the discussion that you have started, giving the example of Diwali and all these things, right? Then we have to look for a little bit of science. What we need to know first, with a very accurate way, is that our human emotions are not only individual, they have also collective existence. And this has been shown by a number of studies on happiness cluster. If one community is happy and celebrating, and if you connect to the next community, that there is a kind of transfer of that happiness without even our knowing. There are so many theory on evolutionary biology, on morphic resonance and so on that I don't want to go about. Another thing about trust is that we need to know about the science of reciprocal influence. Okay? Then we can build the trust. After having all this science backup, we got to have some institutionalization like HOTA and all these things that you have presented, and that is the way out. Thank you.